Okay, now that that's done, we can go ahead and start changing out these graphics. Now it's pretty simple. The idea is basically just replacing the files. So whether you do the graphics yourself or you have someone else do it, what I like is to have the folder kind of match up with the original app folder. I'll show you what I mean by that. If you open up the original app folder, you'll see that there are 6 images here that we're going to need to replace. 4 are icons and 2 are screens inside of the app. So in my RESKIN folder, right when you open up, you see the same thing. You see 2 screens and 4 icons. So this makes it really easy just to copy these over and replace them. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So all I did was copy and then replace the files in the original app folder. Now in my RESKIN folder, I have a resources folder which has some more images in it. So I'm going to go into the resources folder in the original app, and sure enough there's 3 images here that we need to replace. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to take these 3 files, copy them, and then replace them. Now I have 3 other folders inside my RESKIN folder. I have icons, purchase, and UI. So let's jump into icons. We're also going to jump into icons in the original app folder. And I can see that they match up pretty well. So we're going to do the same thing again, just copy them over. Now if we go back in both folders, let's jump into the purchase folder. Now you don't need to replace all these images. Austin tells you which ones are okay to keep, and he actually lets you keep a lot of these, but I chose to replace them. So I'm going to replace this folder, but you actually don't have to. And the same is true for the UI folder. He's got iPad and iPhone images, and I did the same. Now you don't need to replace all of them, but check out his guide and he'll tell you which ones are okay. But I'm going to go ahead and replace mine right now. So what you really want to do, you can do one file at a time or folders like I did, but just make sure that you're replacing every single image and that they're named exactly the same. If there's one letter off or a capital letter or something, this app will not run correctly. So you got to make sure, for example, this one's default-568H at 2x.ping. Very complicated. Just make sure you copy that exact same file name over. I remember when I first did this in the beginning, I messed it up and some images were missing. If it's your very first time, what you might want to do is just copy one file over at a time and make sure it says like you're replacing a file. Because if you're not replacing a file and it just pops on over, you did something wrong. It should give you an alert message saying, are you sure you want to replace this file? Okay, so I did all the icons and the UI stuff and some screens. So let's go ahead and see if I made those changes correctly. We're going to jump into Xcode. And the first thing I like to do is go to Product, Clean. This often fixes a lot of random issues that might be going on in your Xcode project. So it's a good practice to clean it every once in a while after you make some changes to the code or to images. Now let's try running this in the simulator. Yeah, that's looking good already. So you can see I put this red background in. I left his buttons here, and these buttons are the ones that he used, but I changed this background. So it looks like everything's working. Now if I go to hardware in the iOS simulator and click on home, it kind of minimizes it, and you can see I got the app icon right also. It's a good practice to try this in multiple simulators. Actually, it's probably best to do it on your devices. If you have an iPad and an iPhone, try it on both and make sure the icon shows up correctly and all your images are there. Alright, so that's super simple. You should be able to change out your graphics pretty easily, so we're going to start messing with the code in the next tutorial. Thanks.